The multimedia source I chose to look at was The Long Strange Trip of Doc Ellis, Meet the Man Behind Baseball's Most Psychedelic Myth by Patrick Hruvey on ESPN's Outside the Lines. Now, on this first page here, one thing I would say I liked is the layout of the art and the title and the design of it. And if you know anything about Doc Ellis, he's famous for allegedly pitching a no-hitter on the psychedelic drug acid. And if you look at the font used for the title, it's pretty out there, a little bit different than what you'd expect. Kind of weird, something someone might write when they're tripping. And the art on the left here is just kind of, I think it's an interesting way to depict him. When you're talking about tripping, using this kind of art, I think it's very interesting. And getting here on the first page, I love the way it starts here. You get to the effing stadium, I got to pitch. And then it goes into the story about how he ended up being in a situation where he had to go to a game and pitch while tripping on acid. And it goes through here in this first, almost like a chapter, giving that story. And then it's, as you go to the next page, it transitions to the best quote from that section, and where it says, "He took another dose of LSD. Meanwhile, Mitzi flipped through a newspaper. 'Doc, you better get up,' she said. 'You gotta go pitch.'" And I like this because it's just kind of really pointing out the most important thing from that section of the story, and making it kind of pop and grab your attention. Now going here to the next page, again, similar to the title page, I love the illustration on the right. "I'm as high as a Georgia pine," which was a quote he said in this first chapter. And again, the illustration is done with a design that's very psychedelic-esque, trippy looking, with all these things going on around the side here, and kind of showing him as his facial expressions as he struggles to try to throw a pitch. And at the end of the last section, it ended with what happened to yesterday, as the day passed him, and he realized that a whole day had gone by, and he didn't realize that it was his turn to pitch on the next game. And I love how it starts here. The better question: what happened to Ellis? And it goes in this section of the multimedia, it goes into a story about Ellis and his story. And I like that it kind of gives you some background about him, but what's weird about it is it kind of gives you background and foreground from where it starts off, which I'm not sure how I feel about this. It was, that's my one criticism that I think could be better about this piece, is I didn't think it flowed well time-wise. It took a lot of time. It switched around the time a lot, and you didn't know, at one point paragraph they'd be talking about later in his life, another paragraph earlier, and it got confusing after times. As we go down, here is as you scroll, it flips open a ticket from the Padres-Pirates baseball game, the one that he pitched while tripping on acid, which I think is kind of a cool design. As you go, and it's a close-up of the ticket. It gives you a feel of how old it was and how long ago it is. And then here's a black and white picture of Ellis and his team at the mound, and which is a great picture to prove, as everyone's around him, "Hey, are you okay, man? Is everything all good?" And as we go into the second chapter, it goes into a deeper story about what happened at that game. So he gets to the stadium, what his normal routine is, and how he acted that day, and how he struggled to pitch during the game. And this, I thought, here on the left was a cool device countdown. It kind of, to his no-hitter, so his last 9 at-bats, and kind of what each number signified about that game or about this event down below. Again, with more interesting illustrations. And then it goes into more kind of deeper look into Ellis, his personality, who he was, through stories and with pictures of him on the right. Another interesting illustration, they mentioned his Superfly nickname and his Cadillac with the Doc license plate. And it's a cool illustration showing it actually on fire, and that there's more going on behind the flashy Cadillac. Over in this page on the right, there's a video of Doc Ellis himself reflecting on that no-hitter against LSD, which is an interesting video. Here, they talked about a letter from Jackie Robinson, and it's a close-up there, which I thought was cool that, it really, again, like the quote before, it really points it out. And continues to go on, giving more detail about his life, showing pictures about how he was very charismatic, and talks about his personality. Came from the Negro Leagues back in the day. And these pictures on the left really exemplify that, which I thought was interesting about the multimedia source. And, story continues about his life and goes down till the end, where it shows here all he ever wanted is to see his dad come around that locker room corner after a game just one time. That was another quote pulled out of the section about him talking about his dad and his family life, the close-up of him, which I love the quotes they picked out. I think, for the most part, they picked out some of the best quotes from each section after reading it. I think the pictures were really good. His Pirates hat, the signed ball, he's now in the Hall of Fame. And then it goes into how he remembered it, and again, a picture of the game that he pitched, that no-hitter in while tripping on acid. They talked a lot about his baseball cards and some of the different things they did with that, and I love how here at the end it shows a picture of all the different ones. Then here's a cool graphic with all his different stats with different teams, for the Pirates, Yankees, A's, Rangers, and how however long he spent with each team determined how big the graphic was. And then here in the end, it goes into talking about his family life and his last few years alive, in his post-playing days, and finishes with a video of a documentary, a trailer for a documentary about Doc Ellis, kind of ending it and introducing a new thing. So that's my review on this Doc Ellis multimedia thing. And I think, like I said before, I think the illustrations and the pictures they chose did a great job pulling quotes out. Thought was cool. One thing I think it can do better is the context, and it could flow better. And I think it could made a little more sense. But besides that, and maybe some more motion in it, it was kind of bland in the fact that there wasn't things popping up on the screen and moving across. Other than that, I thought it was a well done piece on Doc Ellis and his crazy tripping no-hitter game.